Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for joining me once again for one of these Magic the Gathering reviews here. And once again, we've got a little bit more of the secret lair that we're going to be going over, and we've seen a lot of them here. Aang, Roku, Kyoshi, Kuruk, and Yang Chen there. We've gotten something from every single one of them there. So we're still in our world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this path of ancestry being the pinnacle that they are going to be getting towards to reaching all of the goals of those previous avatars. We have Aang going on through. This is the path that we are also going to be going through to find out about these secret lairs for Avatar: The Last Airbender. So this is likely going to be the last video for a little bit regarding these. So we are going to be starting off with a little bit of our bonus card like we did with the PlayStation ones there. And thank you for being part of Secret Lair. All of those different cabbages. Not my cabbages. Not my cabbages. But that's where we're going to be starting off here. Starting off with a little bit of a plastic one. So not starting off quite as good as like we did with the Soul Ring from Twisted Metal. But Path of Ancestry there, you know, just a little land there. Enters tapped. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Oh. Trying to keep it where it's not shining super bright. I've been trying to be more mindful of that, at least, because I noticed that it happens a lot. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When this mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, you scry 1. So, you know, much better in a kindred type of deck there. But, you know, you can put it in anything. You know, it's a slower command tower because it enters tapped there. But, you know, it is a new card there, and we will certainly take it for our collection. So first up, we're going to have a little bit of Avatar, a lot to learn there. So as we can see here, we've got Aang, Roku, Kyoshi, Kuruk. We just don't have Yang Chen on that one there, but it does represent the 4 different nations there. Looks like they're all going to have the My Cabbages. I believe Aang can save the world. That was part of the opening theme for Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it's like, Aang has a lot to learn, but I believe he can save the world. So we are going to be starting off here. If we can get some of these opened. Oh, these are a bit tougher to open up than the PlayStation ones there. Again, wish that they had the paper ones for recycling there, but the paper ones are also, I feel, a little bit easier to open up. Okay, so I don't know what sort of bonus cards we're going to get in these here, but we're going to start off with Aang, Ascendant Airbender, who's going to be a copy of Serra Ascendant. I believe that there are no mechanically unique cards in this particular Secret Lair set. So Serra Ascendant is a 1 mana creature that is a 1/1 human monk with lifelink, and as long as you have 3 or more life, it gets +5/+5 and has flying. How much life do you have in for Commander? I wonder why this card is so good in Commander. You know, 1 mana for a 6/6 flying lifelinker is pretty darn good. Yeah, I can only imagine why. So up next there, we're going to have a little bit of a ponder, thinking about things. This is where Aang was asking previous incarnations for help of like what they would do with Sozin and whatnot there. So ponder, 1 blue for a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. You may shuffle and then draw a card. So if you look at the top 3, none of them are anything that you're going to need and you don't have a way to draw some extra cards. Might be better to just be like, yeah, let me shuffle and try to get some better stuff. And you get a card to replace Ponder afterwards. Pretty decent one there. We're also going to get a little bit of Avatar Sanctuary, which is going to be a copy of Cryptolith Rite, which is going to be one in a red, not one in a red, one in a green for an enchantment, with creatures you control have tap to add 1 mana of any color. So pretty darn good if you have a lot of small guys there, kind of like those cordyceps that we saw in the Last of Us ones, where you make a lot of them there, and it's just like, okay, they're just 1/1s here, but here we can use them to tap for extra mana. Seems pretty good, especially since those ones there that create cordyceps are both in green. Well, I guess Ellie creates them in red there, but, you know, probably green is still a good one there for it. And last one there for our normal cards is going to be Who's Reach. This looks like one of the Swamp Benders there. 2 and a green for a sorcery arcane. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, and then shuffle. So a good old little search effect there, you know, for some mana ramp. You get 2 basic lands instead of 1, so for 1 extra mana for a lot of those there, you know, like Farseek and the other ones, you just get 1 land. This one you get 2, so that's going to do it. Again, I don't know if, you know, what sort of cards are along in with these in terms of bonus cards, like if they have a guaranteed one or not, so we're just going to go through these one at a time for each of them until they show up there. Shijing Meteorite. Okay, so it looks like they're all going to have... no, they're different. So, they're different there. I just took a peek at what was behind this one here. So, Shijing Meteorite is going to be a copy of Felwar Stone, which is going to be 2 mana for an artifact that lets you tap for 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Do you think we can make a sword out of a meteorite, Sokka? So that's actually funny, because I don't... This must have been part of the 3rd season of Avatar, or book 3, because I don't remember that there, and I know that there's Meteor Sword, which Sokka does make, so that it's when it ETBs, it has a Meteor Golem effect there, which we just saw recently in the PlayStation Secret Lair. So, yeah, you know, a little Felwar Stone to get that sort of stuff there. Maybe that's like a special one there, because behind this Who's Reach is a command tower. So they are 2 different ones, but the same set. So I wonder if there is one that is more common than the other. We'll have to see when that goes through. But command tower, you know, the good old classic land, taps for 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And we have the foxes that bring the wisdom to Wang Shitong, who we can see here in sort of the constellations in the middle of this desert. And we have a meteorite there, possibly this Shijing Meteorite that we see there. Maybe, I'm not completely certain. Wang Shitong and his knowledge seekers collected books from all over the world and put them on display for mankind to read so that we might better ourselves. Yeah, I'll have to see if one of them is more rare than the other, and if there's more than one, because I haven't really looked at what's available for this set like I have with the PlayStation ones, so there could be extra ones that I have no clue about, but you know, we're going to get there along the way. Along with much to learn there, we're going to have one with the elements there, which is going to have Aang doing a lot of processing there. Actually, from this, we have a white, a blue, a green. So white, blue, and green. So Aang at the crossroads. This one here, this one with the elements, I know has the special, like, avatar border on it there for its cards. So we'll get to see some more of that. Alrighty, let's open up. This one here also has I think the most cards in this version of the secret lair because they have 6 as well as the bonus card, the bonus sheet card. So, you know, interesting how, you know, some like that Kratos Norse has only 4, but this has 6. First up, we're going to get Silence. Just with the airbender card frame there. Silence, good old classic, 1 white mana for an instant. Your opponents can't cast spells this turn. Now, you can do this on your turn so that they can't interact with you if you don't have something like a Grand Abolisher or something. Or maybe you put this on like an Isochron Scepter there, and maybe you can, if there's a way like with Seedborn Muse to just continuously repeat it over and over and over again, you know, that's a possibility as well. Or, you know, you can play it on an opponent's turn to keep them from doing stuff. You know, there's a few things there. Now, inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth without talking. Good, keep going. Jong, jong, ta, ang. So I guess ang is practicing under jong, jong, and here, there. You know, Silence, very, you know, a lot of serenity in this one here. You know, shaded. We've got the beautiful trees in the background there out on this little rock in the middle of the water. We're also going to get Preordain, which is going to be blue, but I'm trying to see here. Oh, let's see here. This looks like it could be multi-element there, or just avatar there. While this one here, even though it's blue, it looks like it has the airbending frame. That's what it is. Or something like that. I can't really tell. Maybe that's the water or whatnot. But Preordain, sorcery that lets you scry 2 and then you draw 2 cards. So you get to choose, you know, what you get to draw, stack your deck a little bit there. Normally, we would have told you your identity when you turn 16, but there are troubling signs. Storm clouds are gathering. Monk Gyatso to Aang. So this is where they show Aang all of the toys that he picked, which were toys of the last avatars there. And yeah, you know, that's how they knew that he was the reincarnation. So, but Ponder is just a good old classic, you know, cantrip spell there. We're also going to get a little bit of Painful Truth there. Now we're getting some of like that multi-element or something, because that's not the fire nation there, but so this must also not be water. Painful Truth's coming out. This is the card that I got as my promo card when I did the, I can't remember the Zendikar one there. It was after the original Zendikar. It was when they went back. It was before Oath of the Gatewatch there. I just can't remember the name of it. But Painful Truth, 2 and a black for sorcery. With Converge, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. This is where Azula is having her mental break. She cuts her hair kind of badly because she's like kicked everybody out of the palace, and she's seeing her mother's reflection there, and she goes a little bit crazy and breaks this mirror. But yeah, Painful Truths kind of feels a little bit like a Phyrexian altar that you just, you know, instead of doing it once each turn, you just get it all right away. You know, best to use 3 different colors of mana so that you can get all 3 cards. You lose 3 life, but I mean, in the long run, the 3 cards are going to be worth it. We're also going to get a little bit of Past in Flames. This is where we actually see that fire there instead of whatever the other one is there. And I really like the flame, what do you call it there? The foiling on the flame right here in front of the young Zuko. 3 and a red for a sorcery. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. Flashback cost is equal to its mana cost, and this also has a flashback of 4 and a red. So this is Zuko thinking back upon when he had an Agni Kai with his father, and his father created the burn scar upon his face. So, yep, it kind of makes a whole lot of sense. Ozai, not a great father. We're also going to get a little bit of Force of Vigor, potentially a free spell. 2 and double green, because it's based off of Force of Will, and this right here we have the Earth element there. Instant. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card from your hand rather than pay this spell's cost. Destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Yeah, pretty decent removal there. Discard 1 green card, well, exile a green card from your hand to destroy up to 2 things. It's a pretty good deal. I mean, you can also pay the cost if you don't have the stuff there, but, you know, it's a possibility. And we're also going to have a little bit of Expressive Iteration, which, again, has this, looks like probably a multicolored thing, or, you know, multi-element. Expressive Iteration, blue and a red for a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand, put 1 into the bottom of your library, and exile 1 of them. You may play the exiled card this turn. Expressive Iteration, a card that was banned in, like, Standard or Modern or one of those ones there. So, you know, pretty good in those sort of elements there. Not quite as good in Commander, but, you know, I really like the, you know, it's blue and red, my favorite color combination there. I never was invested in this ship of Katara and Zuko. I know a lot of people were. It just wasn't my particular ship there. But, you know, it makes sense for them to be there together. You know, water can be very defensive. Fire is highly aggressive there. So, you know, they make a good combination with each other. And for our final card there, another Shujing Meteorite. Okay, so again, I don't know if there is one that is more prominent than the other, but I mean, we've gotten both of them. Maybe there's a third one that I don't even know about or something. I'm not sure, but we're getting another command tower. So I don't even know if it's if you get the foil version, do you get the meteorite? And if you get the non-foil, you get a command tower? Like, I honestly don't know. Just, like, but it's just like it happened that way for each of them. So, I mean, it's always nice getting 6 cards there. I don't think that they have anything quite as impactful as, like, Sarah Ascendant there, but it's like Expressive Iteration is nice, Force of Vigor is nice, Past in Flames is all right, Painful Truths is not a great one there. I just like it, and I've got history with it. Preordain is fine, and Silence is fine as well. Nothing, like, super out of the ordinary with these ones here. Let me just move these a little bit so that I've got space for the next one here, which is Everything Changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Yeah, see, we have all of the elements actually right here. Fire, earth, air, fire, earth, water, and none of those were the symbols that were used for something like this Silence, where we see that that symbol is not any of those. So I imagine it's just it was used for multiple elements. I mean, likewise, too, here, this has only 2, but this has 3, so, I mean, I wonder, it just feels weird that it's like that, but Everything Changed when the Fire Nation attacked, so I imagine we're going to get more, like, evil stuff or whatnot there. Yeah, Everything Changed when the Fire Nation attacked. So I imagine it's going to be primarily black and red cards here. I mean, I've seen all of them there. I just don't quite remember absolutely everything about them there. Certain things do stand out. Like, I do know one of the big cards in this here. And it's one that I'm looking forward to because I really like it, and I'm always glad to get more. Okay, so starting off, we're gonna have Torment of Hailfire. Very, very good black finisher, one of my favorites there. X double black for sorcery. Repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they sack a non-land permanent of their choice or discard a card. So they can either take a bunch of damage, discard a bunch of cards, or lose a bunch of life there, you know, and then when they run out of cards to discard or things to sack, they have to start taking the life there. Even with all the power in the world, you are still weak, Ozai to Aang. So this is in the final confrontation between Ozai and Aang, when Aang was still holding back, trying as hard as he could to try to find a way to defeat Ozai without actually killing him, because he never wanted to kill anybody there. But yes, Torment of Hailfire, one of my favorite black finishers there, so I am always thrilled to get more of them there. I know that there was some in the Comic Sans April Fool's Day one, but like I said, getting more is always good. And we're also going to get a little bit of Blood Moon there. So we had Zhao show up as the Conqueror of the Moon or Moonslayer or something there, but here we actually just have the Blood Moon in and of itself as a card there. 2 and a red, enchantment, non-basic lands are mountains there, so shuts down mountains. Something that's probably going to be really good in that Kratos deck there, because, I mean, making it so your opponents can't play any, lands to try to help them outplay stuff there, that can be pretty good there. Ooh. So, always will take some Blood Moons there. Nifty little cards as well. We're also going to get a little bit of Lightning Bolt. Good old classic. Nothing super spectacular. Pretty decent in certain, formats there, like Pauper and whatnot. But on its own here in, like, Commander, it's not the best thing there. But, we'll always take more versions of it there because I really like the art. And this is Ozai trying to use his lightning on Zuko, which Zuko redirects, and actually probably could have killed his father if he wanted to redirect the lightning at him, but then he changed the last minute and shoots it at, like, his feet or something and still sends him flying and essentially beats him there, but he walks off without actually doing anything. But yeah, 1 red mana for an instant, deals 3 damage to any target, so person, planeswalker, creature. Battle. Now I realize that banishment is far too merciful a penalty for treason. Your penalty will be far steeper. Ozai to Zuko. All right. Up next here, we're actually going to get not a black or a red card, but a green card, Dramatic Entrance. And it looks like, yeah, this one here is also going to be a 4-card set. So, again, very strange that this is a 4-card set. Everything else is a 5-card set, except for this one, which has 6. So, same thing with the Kratos Norse one, that it just feels weird that some of, like, that there's not a great consistency. Like, early ones there was also, like, ones like Chromatic Killers that only had 3, or the, some of the, where they did, like, constellations for the gods there, or something like that for the Secret Lair, and, like, they made them only 3 as well. But Dramatic Entrance, 3 and double green for an instant. You may put a green creature from your hand onto the battlefield there. So, you got a big green creature like Craterhoof, you could put it out there early with this. Different ways to go about doing it there. Most of the time you just want to get something big out there. But it's a green creature, so it could also be a creature that is more than just green, like Zakama or something. That's still a green creature, but it has other colors, but it's still green. So, interesting one to go about it there. Are we going to get a Felwar Stone in this one, the Shujing Meteorite? No, we are getting Command Tower, so that broke the streak there, but we got the Shujing Meteorite here, so we're still even on the ones that we are getting. So I'm imagining that it's just like it's still a chance for you to get either of them, but, it's random which one you get, but it's probably like a fair balance instead of like one of them is a lot rarer than the other. I mean, if one is a lot rarer than the other and I just got 3 of them, like, that's a little bit insane, to be honest. Next up here, book 3. I've seen this part of the sketch here, but I never saw, like, the full episode. We have got the Ember Island Players, which is a dramatic reenactment of the parts of Avatar: The Last Airbender done by people in universe, where they have the different stuff. So they've got, like, Aang being played by a girl so that the Fire Nation looks good, and they've got Toph being played by a super muscular man because they don't want to be like, yes, they don't want, like, a little blind girl to be, like, one of the people that's doing a whole bunch of damage to them there. They have Katara, like, super dolled up there with a bunch of makeup there, and Sokka is just, like, super skinny there. But Ember Island players, this is the kind of wacky, time-wasting nonsense I've been missing by Sokka. Yeah, I think Sokka would really enjoy this. I mean, with his whole thing with the haikus there, and, you know, kind of his comedic relief there. Though I think there was a lot of comedic relief in the show, not just Sokka. That kind of made it a lot more believable. Something on the back of the card here. Oh, there it goes. I was like, that doesn't look right. But we got it. We got it. It's funny to think that each of these is just made up of like little tiny dots of color there. So here we go with a little bit of the big muscular man playing Toph. Absolutely accurate actor. Yeah, that's completely accurate to Toph. One, which is going to be a phantasmal image, one in a blue for a 0/0 illusion that you may have this creature ETB as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except that's an illusion in addition to its other types, and it has, when this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, you sacrifice it. So very, very good to be able to get out there, make a copy of something there. You know, it can get removed a bit easy just by targeting it with anything there, but, you know, potentially having another decent creature with something out there, and it enters as a copy of that, of a creature there. So if it has an ETB trigger, you get that ETB trigger, you know, isn't that nice? So we'll have that one starting up there. And we also have Braid of Fire. Here we are with the little girl that is dressing up as Aang there. You can see like the little line where she's got a little bald cap on, and you have Ozai fighting her. And this is, you know, their rendition of like, oh, you know, like Ozai is going to beat Aang type of deal. Braid of Fire, 1 and a red for an enchantment, cumulative upkeep, add red. So normally, cumulative upkeep is bad because it's asking you to pay a cost. Like Mystic Remora has a cumulative upkeep of 1 colorless mana, or just 1 generic mana. So in order to keep it on the field, the next turn you have to pay 1 mana. Turn after that, you have to pay 2 mana. Turn after that, you have to pay 3 mana to keep it on. And you can decline to pay cumulative upkeep, which means that you sack it. The cumulative upkeep of Braid of Fire is add 1 red. So next upkeep, you're going to add a red mana. Upkeep after that, you're going to add 2. Upkeep after that, you're going to add 3. Now, the reason why it feels weird is because it's like, oh, well, that's just good. There's no downside to it. And that's because this is a card that was originally based when we had mana burn. So if you did not use mana in between steps, and then you would lose a life for every mana that you didn't use. So it incentivized you to always use mana. But when they got away with that rule there, this just became an increasingly better card because of it there. So, you know, nifty little one if you've got something to sink a whole lot of mana into during that turn there. I also like how the foiling looks really good with the arrow on top of the head there. I think it makes it pop a whole lot more because it's the only blue in this thing of a lot of reds and browns and yellows there. Up next, we are going to have Cursed Mirror there, which I guess I don't know who that is in the mirror. Maybe it's Zuko if he had followed his father's instructions, or, you know, if he hadn't joined the Avatar or whatnot there. I'm not too sure. I don't know this episode. Cursed Mirror, 2 and a red artifact, add 1 red mana. As its ETBs, you may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end of turn, except it has haste. So very similar to the phantasmal image there, except it gains haste, and then afterwards, instead of staying a creature, it becomes a mana rock. So, you know, just an interesting little one where you can get an ETB trigger. You can make something that's really big that maybe has a combat trigger there, extra combat or whatnot. So, you know, just an interesting little one there as well. Mask of Memory, where you have the blue spirit, just, you know, absolutely crazy big version of it there, and trying to make it look stupid because it did do a whole lot of damage and stumped the Fire Nation there. So, you know, they're trying to play it off as something silly. Mask of Memory, 2 mana for a artifact equipment with an equip cost of 1. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2, and if you do, you discard a card. Seems probably pretty good with Teferi's Ageless Insight. You get that one out there, and you hit them. You draw 4 cards instead of 2, and you only still discard 1. I'll certainly take it there. It's good in ninjas as well. It's only 1 mana to equip. You put it on something that is unblockable, so you're always dealing the combat damage. Get to draw those 2, and you discard 1, but you're still drawing 2 cards. And we're also going to be getting a really good land here of Thespian's Stage. A land from the Return to Ravnica block there, which I think might have been in like Gate Crash or something. Or maybe this was in Theros. It was in one of the 2 there. Because it was early on when I first started up Magic seriously there. Thespian's Stage, a land that adds 1 colorless mana, and for 2 in tap, you can have this land become a copy of target land, except it has this ability. So what you generally do is you copy Dark Depths with this, meaning that because this is already ETB'd, it doesn't ETB with the counters that Dark Depths does. And because of that, you can just get Merit Lage very easily there. So when the Ember Island players' production of The Boy and the Iceberg concluded, Team Avatar collectively agreed that play wasn't very good. In fact, it was horrible, but the effects were decent. Nice. And our bonus card is going to be a command tower. So are we going to get another Fellwar Stone, keep up our half and half? We are. Wow. So we swapped it around of starting off with foil on the Fellwar Stones and non-foils on the command towers, and now they've swapped. But we only have 1 more left to go, and that is my Cabbages. Yes, that is right. Cabbage Merchant, one of the most famous characters in Avatar, one of the most beloved there. One of his descendants showing up in Legend of Korra, and when he's taken away for off with their heads, 1 for each head of cabbage, like the Queen of Hearts. But his descendant was the president and CEO of Cabbage Corporation. So when he gets arrested for suspected of being a criminal, he leaves and he's like, "Not my Cabbage Corp." So it was great that they were able to continue on with it here. But as this is a beloved character, he got his own set of Secret Lair here. Every single one is a destruction effect that involves his cabbages going away. So first off here, we're getting a little chain of vapor. Not my cabbages! 1 blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Then that permanent's controller may sack a land of their choice. If they do, they may copy this spell and may choose a new target for that copy. So with that there, you can pay 1 blue to return non-land permanent, maybe a cabbage, maybe a creature, who knows? But it goes back to their hand, and they can repeat it too, but they got to sack a land. That can be kind of impactful if they don't have a way to recur lands or they don't have a whole lot there. So that can be a pretty impactful one on them there. You can do it on yourself too if you really want to, like return one of your things, sack a land, and do it again. Meltdown. No, not my cabbages. So first up, we have a little bit of air, getting rid of them. Now we have some fire, getting rid of them. X and red, sorcery, destroy X artifacts. Destroy each artifact with mana value X or less. Now, if you have food tokens, as these cabbages, you can return a cabbage to the hand. You can destroy that artifact of food with this here as well. So destroying each artifact with mana value X or less, you get rid of every token. If you don't pay any extra mana, soul rings at 1, a lot of mana rocks at 2 and 3. So, I mean, you can get rid of a whole lot of stuff with Meltdown here. Kind of similar to, what's that one there? I'm trying to remember it there. It has Overload there. It's red. It came in the Return to Ravnica there, and it's like destroy target artifact, but if you overload it, you replace target with each there. I can't quite remember it, but, similar type of effect. Meltdown, you just pay based off of mana value, so you can try to avoid getting rid of things, though the other one there that I'm trying to think of that has the overload, it's that an opponent controls. So that's the difference. Next up, we have Earthbending, getting rid of them. My Cabbages! 1 green for an instant that destroys target artifact or enchantment, and its controller gains 4 life. So again, here we go with another way to destroy a food token or an artifact there that involves a different form of bending. So we just have 1 form left. Is it going to be in here? We have Anguished Unmaking. Why did it have to be my Cabbages? Which I don't think is necessarily waterbending, but we're going to take it as waterbending since there's rain in it there. But this is more of like an aftermath of it there, whereas the other ones are in the making of it. So 1, a white and a black, instant, exile target non-land permanent, and you lose 3 life. So, exiling something, get rid of that Blightsteel Colossus that might be giving you some difficulties there because it's exile. And our last one there of my Cabbages is Putrefy. A lot of giant flies going in and eating all of his cabbages. How could you? My cabbages, they're all gone! Putrefy, 1, a black and a green, instant. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. Again, destroying an artifact there. You can get rid of the Cabbage Merchant himself as a creature with this as well. So, all of them there, I think, are very flavorful, trying to get rid of an artifact, basically food tokens there that are cabbages, and this poor guy that's dealing with them there. So this is, obviously not waterbending there. There's no true waterbending one of this, even though Chain of Vapor is blue, it's still like an air bending thing that's happening with it there. So here we are for our last one there. Which one is going to be which? Well, it looks like foil is getting Meteorite. Are we going to get Command Tower in non-foil? We are, so I don't know. It seems like they have a 50-50 because I got a perfectly even amount, unless there is one that's like a hidden one that is, like a $100+ card that's there that I didn't see. We got everything. I think it was very fun. Avatar: The Last Airbender is very fun. It's very dramatic in some cases as well. But with here, I think that we had some good stuff. Torment of Hailfire, Blood Moon, dramatic entrance can be good. A lot of removal effects there. Copying creatures with Phantasmal Image and Cursed Mirror. Braid of Fire and Thespian Stage for more good stuff there. Sarah Ascendant. Now this one actually had only 4 ones as well. Yeah. Cryptolith Rite, Kodama's Reach there. And again, this weird one that had 6. Silence, Preordained, Painful Truth, Path of Flame, Fourth Figure, Expressive Iteration. Yeah, not the most amazing ones there, though I will say Torment of Hailfire and Sarah Ascendant are probably some of the best ones amongst these here. Really, really nice to add them all to my collection there, and I hope that they don't go the way of the cabbage. So thank you for joining me on this little review of the Avatar: The Last Airbender Secret Lair. I'll see if there's another one of these bonus sheet cards, or if it's just those 2, and I just got lucky with the half and halves. I wish you luck with whatever it is that you are currently working on. I'll look forward to having you back at another time. Please have a good afternoon, evening, or night. And until you come back, please take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.